Revenge. Some say it's a dish best served cold. Others say it should be steaming hot and delivered right to the kisser. It's also not often you think of a saint exacting revenge, but for this 10th century widow, that might just be what she's best known for. Our protagonist didn't shy away from going above and beyond in her quest for revenge, with conniving plots and devious schemes to boot. Join us this week on Cheeky Tales as we discuss the epic story of Saint Olga of Kiev. Hey, going, boy?
Hey, mate. How you going?
Yeah, right. Pretty good.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Having fun over there?
Yeah, mate.
John is playing a soccer manager game that that we both have played hectically for a few years on and off. So John might not be paying attention for the first 10 minutes of this.
I don't know what you're talking about. You have my full attention.
That took him 20 seconds to respond to. I've edited that down.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so this week, boy, we're going medieval. I think this is the oldest tale that we've had, aside from the little bits of the Saint Nick one that you did.
Oh, yeah. Gonna get medieval on this.
Yep, on this. Do you know anything about Saint Olga?
No, not a clue.
Oh well, I thought
you were going to tell me she invented the middle finger, just because that's what you were doing to me.
Yeah, so John, as I was about to read the introduction, he goes, "Oh yeah, here we go, one take, hey." And I told him I'd do it in one, and he goes, "Whatever, we'll see." So as I nailed it on the first take, I gave him the double bird.
And I thought that was a reference to the story. I thought you were going to tell me she invented the bird.
Wouldn't that be fun? I wonder who did. Anyway, yeah, so this takes place in the 10th century, which I didn't know a hell of a lot about, to be honest. But yeah, this is another classic. I had a lot of fun hearing about this story.
Yeah, cool.
And
Sounds
I think
interesting.
Yeah,
a saint the patron saint of revenge.
Well, I do say it later, but she's where is it? So far down. The patron saint of widows and converts. So not related to revenge at all. Yeah, Don't worry, I misremembered that. But you ready to get started?
Well, it just reminded me, I think, and we're going to have to maybe fact check this.
Well, lucky I've got a laptop right here.
But you know how he said who invented the bird?
Yeah.
Well, I think originally it was, the forks.
Yeah. I think that's what flipping the bird is. I don't think it's a middle finger.
Well, no, the forks, I know the origin of the forks. It's archers would march into battle holding up their fingers because one of the punishments they do to captured archers is chop off their fingers so they can't fire arrows.
Okay.
So they'd be walking into battle showing the enemy with their two fingers and they're going, look, we've got all our fingers. We are going to shoot you with our bows and arrows. And that's where that comes from.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, after a quick Google, flipping the bird, way earlier than I thought. First known use of flipping the bird was in ancient Greece. The Greek philosopher Diogenes, born in Sinope in 412 BC, was one of the founders of cynicism and a bit of a troublemaker from the start. That's according to oddfeed.net. Would you score another goal?
I just missed.
Oh, damn.
It's still nil. Oh, well, there you go. There's a cheeky little bit to start your episode.
Our story begins long before the main event in the area known as Rus in the 9th century. Rus covered parts of modern-day Russia, Ukraine, and Finland, and was less a country than sort of a collection of Eastern and Northern European tribes who got together to trade and provide each other protection from outside tribes. As is the way with arrangements like this, though, they didn't always agree and would frequently go to war. In 862 AD, two such tribes, the Finnic and Slavic tribes, would push back a Viking tribe called the Varungarians from their land, pushing them back across the ocean. After doing this, the Finnic and Slavic tribes then started fighting amongst themselves. With the warring becoming so bad, they decided to do the best thing they could think of, which was to call the Varungarians and ask them to rule them. So they...
Okay.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
No.
They're like, get these people out of here. Hang on a minute. So yeah, the way that it sort of worked was that the Varungarians were like a Viking tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, oh, these guys will know how to rule us. Let's just get them to sort us out.
Yeah, right.
And it...
that just makes no sense. Oh, no, I think that wasn't too strange for Vikings. I think I've heard of Vikings doing something similar. Like they couldn't work something out, so they get a third party in to almost mediate type of thing.
Well, it worked. The ruler of the Varangarians, Aririk, would accept the request to rule over the two tribes. And over the next 20 years, under the rule of Aririk's clansman Oleg after Ririk's death, they had expanded their control down to Kiev, which they would then declare the capital, giving the country the name the Kievan Rus.
Yeah, right.
As is usual with empires, this
was about 800 because you said it's the 9th century. So
yes.
Okay.
It was 862, I think, was when the agreement was first made. As is usual with empires, they started to push their boundaries through war and trade and would begin to develop enemies outside and within their realm. Ririk's clanman, Oleg, would continue to rule and during this time would marry and have a child who he would name Olga. Obviously our protagonist.
Okay, I was about to say, where's our protagonist coming in?
Well, some of this stuff kind of matters because you need to understand why these people were ruling these people.
Mm-hmm.
When Olga was of age, she would be married to Igor, who was in fact the son of Ririk, and therefore would be the heir to the throne when Oleg eventually passed away in 913.
I know we've had our English episodes with our favourite names, Henry and all that, but don't you love these what's the class you call it?
Eastern European.
Yeah, like your Eastern European Nordic names. Oleg,
Igor, Olga, Ririk.
You wouldn't run into a Ririk in Australia, would you?
No, you're not running into it. I'm doing a bit of work at the moment with a guy called Ilya.
Oh, that's a bit. That's close.
Slovenian name. Yeah. So Olga and Igor were the 10th century version. Oh, you scored another goal, did you?
I scored one.
Okay, John's really paying attention to this.
It's now 1-0.
Ooh.
There's 20 minutes to go. In-game minutes. Hang on, I need to do a substitution.
Oh, okay, I'll just sit here and watch you do that then.
Okay.
So, Olga and Igor would be the 10th century version of Beyonce and Jay-Z, as they both shared monarch heritage, and that gave them an advantage.
Is that something that you read off a website, or you've made that your own?
That was me.
Okay.
I read that they were a power couple, and I was like, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Together, they would have one son who they called Svatoslav.
Okay, go these four little names to Svatoslav. Okay.
So now we're done with the history of Kiev and Rus. Now we're getting into the stuff that matters for Olga.
It's strange that Kiev's kept its name, hasn't it?
Yes.
That doesn't happen too often, I suppose, does it?
Well, yeah, not often. I mean, a lot of these places sort of exist for a long, long time. London's about this old.
Yeah.
But Rus, what country do you think took the name Rus?
Belarus.
Mm-hmm. And? Russia.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, there's a couple of countries that took the name of this place as well. So, the rule and downfall of Igor. Igor continued to expand Kiev's rule over more and more of those surrounding them. There were brief conflicts with some lands that they had already controlled, including a neighbouring tribe called the Drevlians. The Drevlians had stopped paying tribute to the Rus, instead paying a local warlord. Igor rounded up his army and marched into the capital Iskoristan. This would be enough to scare the Drevlians into paying tribute once more, and there would be no need for war. Again, a bit Jay-Z there. It seemed that at this time, Igor had brought peace to the land he controlled.
I brought peace to my new empire. Your new empire. Sorry.
Just realised halfway through that this is another Star Wars
thing.
What's
come? Kenobi's out on Friday.
I still want to play Lego Star Wars. I think that looks so fun. Over the next few years, Igor would continue to lead attacks against neighbouring lands, including some with mixed results against Constantinople of the Byzantine Empire. Raids on Constantinople were fast and cruel, however. The Byzantine forces would eventually push the Rus.
They'd puss out.
They'd puss out. Puss. Please don't restart my laptop.
Can't restart a piece of paper.
Yeah, that would have been nice. After further attacks, there would be a truce agreed between the Byzantine and the Rus.
A truce with the Rus.
Truce with the Rus and the Bizzies.
Dr. Zeus right this episode. Truce with the Rus.
This episode brought to you by Dr. Zeus. Igor seemed to have gained a lot of confidence from both the intimidation of the Drevlians and his attacks on the Byzantines. As when he went to the Drevlians to gather their tribute again in 945 AD, he decided once they'd left that he hadn't asked for enough. He left his army and returned to Iskoristan with just a small escort. Frustrated by this disrespect, the Drevlians would attack and take Igor hostage.
You like your hostage stories, don't you?
I mean, how many other hostage stories have I done?
James Cook.
Oh, yeah, all right. That's literally my last episode. I got a history doing this of just like back-to-back linked episodes. Yeah. How am
I going to link my next episode?
A brief history of animal hand jobs.
You went there. I
yeah.
Could have been anything else. You had to bring that into it.
Now we're going to put the icky warning on again. Nah. What a bold move to be like, no, I think I need more, and just turn around and go back. But yeah, now the Drevlians have him hostage.
So where is that in modern day? Where's Drevlian?
So if you know where Kiev is, it's like slightly to the northeast, I believe, northwest.
So it's still in like modern day Ukraine.
Yeah, it's in that like Ukraine, Belarus, that sort of area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can give you props for tackling this episode in the current world climate point in this areas, and
I mean it's not really.
It's a touch. Well, I wouldn't say it's a touchy subject, but
it's not related at all.
It's not. No, but
it's 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, but still, we're talking about this area and what's happening at the moment, and to the unfortunate population of Ukraine and what they're having to go through.
It is a very messy situation.
So Chernobyl's northwest of Kiev, isn't it? No, it's northeast of Kiev.
I thought it was south. I think it's southeast.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Because that is another story from that region that you love. Well, I wouldn't say love, but are very interested in.
I love that story. So crazy. Let's go to maps.
It'd be funny if the story you're telling now is taking place like modern day Chernobyl.
Well, I mean, it's surely not. It's Kiev on this map. Okay, no, you're right. It was northwest.
Yeah, so the Drevlians are northeast, I believe you said.
Well, I'm just going to find out, actually. It's currently called Koristan, where this town was that this all took place. And it is, it's sort of, if you made a triangle between Kiev and Chernobyl to the northwest, it's like over there.
Yeah,
it's
like
to the west.
Oh, west of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to derail you, but
that's all right.
I just thought that might be an interesting link
Chernobyl
story.
Coming soon. Maybe not.
Watch the
Just watch the TV show and imagine me talking about it. So
we could do a watch along.
We're getting into the meat of this story now.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, where's the protagonist? She's just a little kid at this time.
No. She's married to Igor at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true. I thought that was
so she's
dad.
like
married to Igor.
20s. Yeah. So this is the meat of what caused all this. Deciding to end the intimidation, the Drevlians would end Igor's life in a particularly gruesome way.
Okay, yep.
They bent 2 trees towards each other and then tied them to the ground. Igor was then tied to the trees, 1 leg and 1 arm to each tree, and then the restraints keeping the trees would be cut, splitting Igor in 2.
Whoa.
Like a string cheese.
Whoa.
Yeah. So just up the middle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They're flexible trees.
Yeah. Super gross.
Super gross.
Yeah. So that's one way to kill a man.
Look, love, we didn't kill him. He didn't want to let go of these trees.
He just loved trees, man. We tried to tell him. Yeah. Can you imagine, like, in that moment, just being...
Just the force to literally rip a person in half.
Yeah.
So, like, diagonal leg and arm or, like...
No, like left to right, I imagine.
So it's, like, not split
Actually,
vertically,
I don't know.
like split
no,
horizontally?
I think it was split up the middle.
Yeah, like...
Yeah. Yeah. Gross.
You haven't seen Doctor Strange, have you?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. Cool.
You just made a reference. I thought you
Any
might have seen
movie,
Doctor Strange.
I've not seen it. Just assume that.
Okay. Spoiler warning for Doctor Strange. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, gross, I'll just say, without knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the thing that the revenge is referencing is Igor being split. Yeah. The beginning.
Jeez, that'd be messy. Just
Yeah, imagine all the blood. And like then you got to cut the bits of the body off the tree and like, ugh.
No, I imagine it like a slingshot. Just one half's gone that way, the other half's gone that way.
And it would like, they'd like spin back together around the tree. Oh,
spraying stuff everywhere.
And then they'd end up just lying and like hanging in the tree.
But there'd also be like, I assume stuff's not getting held in anymore. So it'd be like the forces would be just flicking everywhere.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, and I wish I hadn't.
I wish I hadn't either.
That's disgusting.
I'm sorry for the mental image, everyone.
This got very R-rated very quick. This got very sore. The beginning of the revenge. With Igor having met his untimely demise, the throne would pass to Svatoslav. There's just a small problem with that, though. Svatoslav was just 3 years old. With the support of the Kievan Rus army and the backing of the people, Olga would step in as regent to rule the land until Svatoslav grew up enough to stop pooping his pants. Meanwhile, the Drevlian army were feeling pretty good about themselves after capturing and splitting Igor.
Oh, did you have to say it that way?
And so, pretty foul, eh?
Oh.
And so felt that now would be the time to press their advantage. They decided they would send 20 of their best negotiators and nobles via boat to Kiev, where they would enter the court of Olga to speak to her.
Like, do you reckon it was instant or do you reckon it was a slow, like, tear in half?
I mean,
there'd be some resistance in the human body, surely. Or do you reckon it was just like,
but it must have been pretty quick. I mean, they're trees. How much force would be required to pull a tree down?
How much force is it required to rip a human in half?
Apparently 2 trees worth. 2 tree power.
Sorry to come back here. I've never heard. I've heard of some, like, I've looked up some weird execution techniques. That's a new one.
Yeah. That's pretty gross.
It's a new one.
Yeah. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole on Wikipedia of like
strange
weird execution methods. Yeah.
There's some
Don't
weird
do
ones
it
out there.
Yeah. It's pretty gross.
Mm.
I regret going down that rabbit hole. So yeah, they send 20 people just to go see Olga, which pretty bold.
Pressing. Did you say they're trying to, like, so they're not sending an army? They're sending.
No, it's 20.
Okay.
What was it? 20 nobles and negotiators.
I was going to say, how big are these towns? Like, their army's 20 people. Like,
yeah. Well, no, this was like a political mission.
Okay.
They're like, hey, let's go make a deal.
Sure. We just tore your husband in half. Like, this is not going to end well for these 20 people.
In what must have felt like one of the most bold plays of all time, the Drevlians would propose to Olga. Literally.
Oh.
They came with the offer of marriage from Prince Mal of the Drevlians, who I imagine wished to bind the 2 countries by marriage and take control of what he thought must be a Kievan Rus in turmoil. Surprisingly, Olga would say, your proposal... I was going to do a voice.
Are you going to say it in Russian first?
No.
Oh, yeah. What language are they speaking? Are they speaking like a Russian?
I don't know. It'd be some sort of Slavic, like...
Yeah.
Or Finnic,
okay.
sort of. Yeah. I mean, they were Vikings, so...
Do the voice.
Your proposal is pleasing to me. Indeed, my husband cannot rise again from the dead, but I desire to honor your tomorrow in the presence of my people. Return now to your boat and remain there with an aspect of arrogance. I shall send for you on the morrow, and you shall say, we will not ride on horses nor go on foot. Carry us in our boat, and you shall be carried in your boat. And so...
I feel like this is where the term a ruse comes from. She's doing a ruse here because she's the leader of the ruse.
Yeah.
And she's setting these guys up and she's going to like torch the boat and kill them all in
That is not what's going to happen.
Okay. Continue.
I feel like I've given you just enough of an idea of what she's like to know that something's up.
But I feel like this is the term ruse. This is the origin of this term.
But so she said to them, yeah, great. I like that idea. Let's do it. Go back to your boat and tomorrow we'll honor you by carrying you on your boat into the court.
How big's a boat?
Enough for 20 people.
That's okay. That's
decent sized boat.
That's an effort.
Yeah.
Again with the boats, boy. Anyway.
I mean, the boats aren't the point of the story, but all right, if you want to link it to Titanic.
And all the other ones, Cook, South Pole.
I've done a lot of boat things, haven't I?
I've done one.
There was boats in Balloon Fest.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Yeah, the guys that died. And so, the Drevlians would return to their boat and wait out the night, believing that their plan had worked against all odds. The following morning, they would do as they'd been told and would instruct the people of Kiev to carry them in their boat. The people would do as they were asked, lifting the boat high above their heads. The Drevlians saw this as a great honour, right up until the moment they were dumped in the massive trench that Olga had requested be dug the night before. Once in the trench, the people would bury the Drevlians alive, with Olga reported to have bent down, watching them be buried, and ask, "Do you find this honour to your taste?" So he got them to dig a massive hole and then just dump them in.
How big is this boat?
Yeah.
For what? How big is the boat? The people have carried it with 20 people in it.
At what point do you reckon they were like, "Where are you taking us, guys?"
They've also dug a hole.
What's that big hole?
So it's obviously not a ship with a mast. It's literally like maybe
I think it was like a big rowboat.
like a Viking boat.
Yeah, kind of.
But that's still an effort to carry with 20 people in it and to have a hole big enough that people can't get out of.
And then, so it must be deep and it must be wide enough. And then, she's just like, "Hey, how's this for an honour?" Like, she's crazy.
Wow.
And it escalates from here.
Oh, jeez. All right. I'm going to nickname this lady Dees.
D's nuts?
Yeah. That's what she's going to say to all these people she buries. How do you like Dees?
Just imagine the Drevlians in the boat. They're like, "Oh, this is great." You know,
Ka-dunk.
hang on. What's that hole? Ah!
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then buried alive.
Yeah, buried alive.
Mm.
Yeah. The second course of revenge. After the hole had been filled with Drevlian stone and dirt, Olga would then send a message to...
Stone?
Yeah.
So they've stoned these people as well as they've buried them alive.
Yeah, they dunked big stones in there. Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't a sound effect. That was me just going...
Olga would then send a message to Prince Mal, informing him of her desire to be escorted to Iskoristan by the best men of the Drevlian tribe. Prince Mal, believing at this point that the marriage was a sure thing, would agree, sending his best men to Kiev right away.
She's done another ruse.
Yeah, you can see this one coming now, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
By this point, word had not made it to the Drevlians of the fate of the 20 people he had already sent. As you can imagine, word didn't travel fast in the 10th century. And so, the men being sent on this trip would have no idea of the horror that those before them had faced, nor the absolute menace that they were being sent to meet. When the men arrived, Olga would immediately notice that the men were filthy from their trip and advise them that they needed to take a bath before they could discuss the marriage any further.
What is she going to do?
The men would agree and would make their way to the bathhouse not far from the court.
All I can't think of what she's going to do. Is she going to drown them? She's going to people ambush them in the bathhouse and just hold their heads underwater?
Well, at this point, she hasn't really... Like, all she's done has been like, "Oh, man, you guys stink. Go take a shower." So they get into the bathhouse. Once inside, the men would get down to the business of cleaning themselves up, while outside, the people of Kiev would again get down to business. The bathhouse would be barricaded up with large stones, blocking it from all sides. Then, with the men inside, the bathhouse would be set on fire, burning the men inside alive before the building would burn to the ground.
I was one story too quick with my burning.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Now she's burnt them to death. She's buried alive,
She's
burned alive.
burnt their own bathhouse down.
Yeah. I think the people of Kiev were kind of annoyed too, because Igor
yeah.
had been a good leader.
Yeah.
And Olga turned out to be a very good leader. So I think she's kind of got the people on her side with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think anyone's too upset about the bathhouse going.
And how many good men were sent?
There wasn't really a number on this one.
Okay.
But it was just like the best men of Iskoristan.
Yeah,
so I
so
would
now
say,
probably the best soldiers and leaders from
Yeah.
Iskoristan are now dead.
Yeah.
Now they're ripe for an army attack.
the main course. At this point, Olga had decided it was time to take the revenge trip to the Drevlians herself.
I feel like Prince Mal isn't surviving this episode.
Let's get there.
Is he going to have the same treatment? Is he going to be split in half by two trees?
Let's find out.
No, I don't think she'd do that. I don't think she'd do the same. I think she'd come up with her own.
Her own method?
Yeah.
Yeah. She seems like a individual kind of gal.
Mm.
So she sets off from Kiev to Iskoristan. Prince Mal was still completely in the dark about what had happened to his people, and so believed that he was still engaged. Olga would send ahead that the Drevlians should prepare great quantities of mead.
He's still engaged to the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, apparently. She's killed like at least 25 people by this point.
He's engaged to death herself.
Yeah. So she tells them, hey, Drevlians, get a bunch of mead ready. We're going to have a big feast when I get there.
You know what mead is?
It's, isn't it honey?
Yeah, it's made from honey.
Yeah.
It's alcoholic or fermented honey. I don't know what else they do to it.
I've never tried it, but I really want to.
Yeah, me too. I was talking about it at work the other day. I'm like, oh, I wonder if you can make your own mead, with some honey and stuff like that. And they're like, what? What do you mean? I'm like,
honey? Yeah,
mead's
I guess
made from honey.
People assume that mead is just beer.
No, it's honey based, so it must be sweet. And people used to drink it so much back in the day.
I wonder if you can get mead from Dan Murphy's.
I bet you can.
I'll bet you can.
If not, Dan Brown's. Harry Brown?
Harry Brown.
What's Dan Brown? Dan Murphy's combination.
Yeah, you can get mead.
Next
Maxwell honey mead.
Next Cheeky Tale, we're going to have some mead.
It's only $20. Yeah, let's get some mead.
You're going to have some mead for our next episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sweet.
It's in stock where we live. On arrival outside Escoriston, she would tell Prince Mal that before there could be any marriage, she would need to see the body of her husband and farewell him with a funeral feast.
Which part?
Well, they dug him up.
Yeah, but which part? They only bury half.
Which side of the body would you want to see?
Probably the side with the head. I imagine the head hasn't split in half.
Yeah, I imagine it would like rip off.
Up the neck, yeah.
Oh, gross.
I've gone back in the weeds.
I wonder if they just like put him back together. Or they're just like, here's his bits.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. It just doesn't get better, does it? She insisted that the Drevlians take part in the feast, and so thousands of Drevlians would leave the city walls to attend the party. And what a party it was. The Drevlians would drink and eat themselves into a real buzz, with the army entirely wasted outside the city walls. It seemed Olga and her army might not have been in the partying mood after all, though, as they weren't drinking, and so were completely sober. I think you can see where this might be going. Olga would give the word, and the Kievan Rus army would unleash hell on the drunk Drevlians, slaughtering roughly 5,000 of them in total by the time the evening was through.
Whoa!
Olga was said to have walked amongst the massacre, egging on her soldiers, and even getting in a couple of stabs to help them along.
Is this like the first Red Wedding?
That was, somebody said that she went full Red Wedding on them.
That's beyond Red Wedding. This is like
Red Funeral.
Red Wedding times 10.
Yeah.
Super Saiyan Red Wedding.
Yeah. So, can you, like, at some point someone must have been like, you want to have a drink? And the Kievan Rus are like, no. And they wouldn't have been like,
yeah,
okay.
Someone's gone, hang on, this don't feel right. This feels like a ruse.
But yeah. A ruse. Yeah, so now 5,000 of the army's been moided. Yeah.
What are you, Bugs Bunny? Moided.
And Prince Mal, probably at this point, I think he's worked out that maybe he's not getting married. Maybe he's not getting that ring. Olga would then return to Kiev to prepare her army for a second visit to Escoriston to finish off the remaining people of the Drevlian tribe. So they head back.
So they didn't just kill soldiers, they killed just the townspeople as well. Tribespeople.
I think it was just the army at first. Okay. I don't think at this point the people of Escoriston were out there.
But she's coming back now for...
Yeah, so now she's going back to get...
For the second course.
Yeah, the dessert. Olga would begin to make her way through the Drevlian lands, fighting the Drevlian armies along the way and beating the survivors back into their cities and extracting tribute from them. So Escoriston's not the only Drevlian city. There's like a bunch there. When she arrived at Escoriston, though, they refused to pay their tribute, unsurprisingly, and so figured that instead of another trick, which they might just work out, she wanted to declare war. There was one catch, though, in that she couldn't declare war as she was a woman. Apparently that was a thing.
Okay.
Despite being the regent of the whole...
Yep. And murdering a bunch of people. Moided.
Smart as a tack, as always, though. She would get her son, Svatoslav, who was now 10 years old, onto the back of a horse, give him a spear, and tell him to just throw as hard as his little arms could go. While the spear barely made it past the horse's head...
just into the back of the head. And just the horse collapses
down. Oh, my son's dead. Oh, well. No, so he just just past the horse's head. But that was all that was required. That was how they could declare war. So off go the Kievan Rus army, and they start attacking the Drevlians, driving them back inside the city walls and beginning a siege.
Yeah, sieges ain't good.
No, sieges wouldn't be good now.
No.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't...
It's a bit different now. You could at least get like food and stuff airdropped into your city if you were sieged. There's no airdrops back then.
No. So if anyone doesn't know what a siege is, especially with a walled city, you basically just stop anyone in, anyone out, and that just happens until either the siege is broken.
Yeah, including supplies.
Or the army, the people inside the city just give up.
I think you'll find this blockade is perfectly legal. Sorry, another Star Wars reference.
One. And it has to be like the boring Senate stuff, doesn't it?
Oh, it's the start of Phantom Menace when the Queen's talking to Newt Gunray.
Right, okay. Sure. Cool.
Is that legal? I will make it legal. Sorry.
The siege would continue for a year before Olga would send word to the...
A year?
Yep.
Jeez.
Before Olga would send word to the Drevlians inside.
They're eating people inside, for sure.
For sure. There's some cannibalism going on. Yeah. Poor little Timmy.
They split a person in half with 2 trees. They're eating. They're eating each other.
Yeah, they're eating Granny. She would say, "Why do you persist in holding out? All of your cities have surrendered to me and submitted to tribute, so that the inhabitants now cultivate their fields and their lands in peace. But you had rather die of hunger without submitting to tribute." The Drevlians would reply, you like that voice? I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's like she's sitting here.
I hope not. I would be killed.
Hey, we didn't kill her husband.
She'd be like, "Would you like to meet me in the kitchen?" No.
How about you just go outside? No, wait. You go over there? The Drevlians would reply, understandably, that they were afraid that Olga was still intent on getting revenge for Igor's death. On hearing this, it seemed that Olga decided that she wanted peace, and so would reply to the Drevlians that the murder of the 2 groups in Kiev, as well as the slaughter of the Drevlian army the previous year, had been enough to quench her thirst for revenge. She would request just 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each house.
She's lying.
Obviously, the Drevlians were thrilled to hear that their revenge tour was over.
Lying.
And so would quickly pay the price and send the birds to the Kievan Rus army. So what do you think she's playing at? What do you think she's doing?
Why is she asking for, was it pigeons or doves?
3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each house.
Does each house have...
Apparently.
Okay. I don't know. She's lying.
So you don't believe her though? You don't think she's decided
strapping dynamite to these birds, and the pigeons are the homing pigeons, they're all gonna fly back and boom!
You are close.
Or she's gonna infect the birds with a disease, and it's gonna kill the people.
Well, maybe it was too soon to say that Olga had given up her quest for revenge, as she instructed her people to attach pieces of sulfur wrapped in cloth to the legs of the birds.
She's got explosive birds.
Yeah.
I called it.
You got it in one. And then as night fell, to light the cloth and sulfur on fire before releasing the birds. Being homing pigeons, they would return to the houses they were brought from, lighting them ablaze when they landed. The sparrows would return to their nests in the city, adding to the fire, and it's reported that not a single building was spared from the flames. Good job, boy. Good job.
I know dynamite was a bit early for them, but...
I mean, it's pretty close. It's a firebombing.
I don't know what they would have used for.
Can you imagine? They're just like, oh, good. She's just getting like this, maybe it's symbolic. Maybe we're just giving her some birds, peaceful offering. Oh, great. We're going to be out.
Oh, God, they're coming
back. Hang on a minute.
They're on fire.
What are all those flaming balls in the sky? Oh, crap. And then everything on fire pretty much immediately. Like, they reckon the whole town on fire.
I mean, what a way to set a town on fire. Like,
yeah. It wasn't us. It was the birds, bro.
The birds would have died as well, I'm assuming. Yeah. Can you imagine if a bird, pooped as it was flying? Like, this flaming bird. It's bad enough when you get pooed on by a bird, but it's on fire.
It's flaming. Have I got something in my hair?
Is that good or bad luck? Is it good? Is it good luck because a bird pooped on you, or is it bad luck because it's on fire?
I don't think any of that's good luck.
Okay, what happened to Prince Mal? Did his castle burn down from the pigeons and the...
So, they don't actually say what happened to Prince Mal specifically.
It's assumed he died in the...
It's assumed that he was slaughtered at some point. Where the part of the
Birds.
5,000. Yeah, birds. Flaming birds.
Oh, man.
It's just crazy. She's like,
That's quite...
set the birds on fire.
That's really smart.
Yeah. As the people of Iskoriston fled the burning city, she instructed her soldiers to catch them, killing a third, enslaving a third, and forcing the remaining third to live in the smouldering remains of the city so they could continue to pay tribute the next time that she came around.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. She,
Is this the term where... what is it?
Wrath knows no fury like a woman scorned. I don't think so, but this is apt if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
What a baller woman, though.
Wow.
It's like, I'm going to systematically destroy your entire tribe.
And she does it.
I wonder if she would have done it if they hadn't said, hey, do you want to marry Prince Mal?
Oh, no, she would have done it.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she would have come to the town at some point and like gone for him, yeah. But
birds, flaming birds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've got buried alive.
Yep.
We've got burned alive.
Yep.
We've got slaughtered while drunk at a party.
Yep.
And now we've got burned alive and stabbed and enslaved and forced to live in
the
smouldering wreckage.
ruins.
Yeah. So yeah.
Whew.
What next?
How did she become a saint?
We will get to that.
She doesn't seem very saintly.
I knew you would ask that question, so I've included a whole section on why is this woman who is an absolute maniac a saint.
Because usually it's posthumous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's always posthumous. Yeah. From here, Olga would finally have completed the revenge of her husband's death and would change her focus to the reform of the tribute system in her territory. She would split up the land into units controlled by her representatives and would standardize the tribute system as well as set times for when they would be due. It's considered to be the first system of taxation in Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot less interesting, but once Svatoslav was old enough to lead, he would leave Olga to rule over the people of the Kievan Rus while he would go out with the army and do some conquering. Gonna push those boundaries out a bit wider. Personally, she would receive several offers of marriage from rulers of the time, despite the insane way she'd treated the last person
I was
to
going
do
to
so.
say, that's you got some nuts to be doing that.
Yeah, can you imagine being like, yeah, no, I want a piece of that.
In saying that though, like you just said, what a baller woman. You'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, that's the woman for me.
And she's shown herself as a really good leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, she set up like a proper taxation system.
Mhm.
She's getting consistent money in. The
Seems like
people
she's
love her.
Very clever.
Yeah, switched on. Yeah. So yeah, she turned them all down. No more marriage for her. She was loyal to Igor to the very end.
Oh, sweet.
Olga would eventually die in 969, from illness, with her son Svatoslav delaying a move of the capital to be with her until she passed.
969.
Yes.
And she was born in what, 68, 62?
After 862. So she lived to like her 70s.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, Svatoslav was like, hey, I'm going to move the capital. See you, mum. And she's like, can you not? I'm kind of sick. And he's like, fine. And then she died 3 days later.
And then he moved it.
Yeah, pretty much immediately. He would weep for her, along with the entire population of the Kievan Rus. She had been a much-loved and respected leader until her passing.
Where did he move the capital to?
It was just somewhere else in the place. It wasn't really important.
Okay.
But
Is
I don't. It was not a town that you know.
Is it where
Yeah.
modern day Kiev is now?
No. This Kiev in this story is
It's the
Kiev
same-
today.
Okay.
Yeah. So why is this absolute menace a saint? During her life, Olga had converted to Christianity in the 950s. Without going too deeply into it, there was a rivalry for power in the Christian world at the time between the Catholics, led by the Holy Roman Emperor, and the Orthodox Church, led by the Byzantine Emperor. In 1054, there would be something that they call the Great Schism, but in the time before this, both sides were competing to get as much support as possible from the people of Europe. Christian leaders would bribe pagan leaders to convert, often with money or marriage. And while in Constantinople in 957 AD, Olga would see the benefits this might provide, and so would begin the process of baptism. While speaking with the Byzantine Emperor, Constantine, in Constantinople, he would become smitten with her after finding her beautiful and smart. Constantine would propose marriage, but as we've seen, Olga didn't want no man. She would inform Constantine that she wanted him to be her sponsor for baptism, which would also make him her godfather. Once she had been baptized, Constantine would again propose marriage. So she's like, why would you want to marry me if I'm not
She's
a Christian?
And she's like 55, 50,
Yeah.
late 50s at this time.
Yeah. So she's like, why would you want me if I'm not Christian? I'll get baptized. I want you as my sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So once she'd been baptized, Constantine would again propose marriage, at which point Olga would inform him that it was in fact illegal to marry your godchild, and so he could not marry her.
She's so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
Constantine would say to Olga, Olga, you have outwitted me, before giving her a number of gifts of gold, silver, and silk, before dismissing her to return to Kiev.
She must have been a looker too.
I imagine anyone that had food at that time would be a looker.
Okay.
She had learnt a lot of the Christian faith while in Constantinople and would make efforts during her time to convert the people of Kiev to Christianity. While her son, Svatoslav, would not follow her into the faith, her grandson, Vladimir the Great, would, and in 988 would make Christianity the official religion of the Kievan Rus. So sadly, after her death in 969, nice, but because of her efforts, her grandson converts Due to her being the first of the Kievan Rus to convert, the eventual Christian community of Kievan Rus and the countries that followed would see her as their leader. Nearly 600 years after her death, in 1547, the Russian Orthodox Church would name her a saint. The Roman Catholic Church would follow suit. She is considered as the patron saint of widows and converts. Today, there are monuments and churches around the world that are dedicated to her. Her legacy of revenge isn't actually what she's mostly remembered for, more the great leadership and conversion efforts. But I, personally, feel that the trail of dead Drevlian bodies is much, much more entertaining.
It was pretty entertaining. Flaming birds. That's
Flaming birds.
Yeah.
What a way to get them.
That's so smart.
Yeah. It's just like a system, like revenge in just intelligent ways every time. Just like, you know what? Yeah, I will accept that marriage proposal. How about you go back to your boat and we'll carry you in tomorrow? Hey, get that hole ready. And then just fill it in. Hey, you stink. Go have a shower. Burn them to death. Hey, everyone, come out and have this big party. Kill them. Good times. What you looking up?
The origin of the word ruse.
It'll be Latin for sure.
Latin.
Yeah.
Old French.
Uh-huh.
And it was mid-14th century.
Okay, so not related at all.
Nope.
Cool. Yeah, so what'd you think?
It was good. It was,
Not going to mess with Olga?
that was like an action movie.
Yeah.
It started with the conflict and the big set piece at the start of ripping
Ripping a bloke in half.
a king in half.
Splitting him like an apple.
Oh,
Yeah. Have you seen someone do that? Split an apple with their hands?
no.
It's It's insane. People just like with an apple. Someone did it at work and I sat there for an hour trying to do it.
Did you do it?
Nope. Got really sore hands.
Yeah, and then she was just very smart.
Yeah.
Like what a intelligent woman.
Yeah. Role model.
I've got nothing to add to it. It's just the story speaks for itself.
Yeah. I just love how she just kept escalating. She's like, I'll kill 20. I'll kill some more. I'll kill 5,000. I'll kill the whole town.
I'll destroy the whole town.
Yeah. So
and
good.
just in ways of, you know what? I reckon, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to bring it back to Game of Thrones. I feel
There's
like
probably, you can see a few.
I feel like George R.R. Martin's heard this story.
Absolutely,
and he's adapted it because the Red Wedding for one.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is very similar to the party and all that.
Yeah.
And then the burning the city down. I don't know if it happens in the books because he hasn't written it in the books, but at least in the TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler for
last season, I guess.
The last season.
Oh, if somebody hasn't seen it and they're waiting to see it, that's their fault.
Yeah. Where
it's been like 8 years.
Khaleesi burns down King's Landing with her dragons. Like, it's very similar to burning the city down with birds.
I think he may well have read this story.
Or knows of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the Revenge of Saint Olga, boy.
Wow.
Yeah. If you like this story, and even if you didn't, hit us up on @CheekyTalesPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Share your thoughts on the story. Share your thoughts on us. Only if they're nice. Yeah, jump on there. Share the episode with a friend if you can. It would be really good if we could get some reviews going on Spotify. That would help us out, or Apple Podcasts. I think those two platforms both do reviews. And yeah, share us around with people that you know that are interested in this sort of stories. It'd be great to grow this podcast. You're up next, boy.
I am up next.
Got an idea?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
But I am looking forward to our mead session next.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast.
We're going to drink some mead. We're going to have to do it on a Saturday so we can get sloshed.
probably tastes disgusting.
It's going to be gross. All right, boy. Thank you. I will speak to you next time.
See you guys.